Takazani Dimelang Khanya Lisedi. Hello everyone and welcome to the 101 sessions with Gogo. I'm sorry, and I'm your host Gogo M. And you can also refer to me as a frosty queen while I still have the white hair. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, I'm playing. Let me stop playing around. So this channel is where we talk about everything spirituality and everything in between spirituality, right? So today I want to talk about Dwe Spirit, but not only about Dwe Spirit, but the different types of Dwe that you may have. Because one thing that I do know, or rather have noticed throughout my years of being a healer, is that there's a lot of misconceptions in terms of Mndau on its own generally, so right? Whereas there's lack of understanding in terms of Mndau, and a lot of people don't know that there are different types of Mndau spirits, and these different types are appeased differently and they work differently. Bear in mind with me saying this is to emphasize the fact that not all Mndau spirits go into initiation. Not all Mndau spirits need a kopela. So hence that is why I'm making this video, so you guys can understand what type you have and what procedures are needed, what rituals must you do, if there are any, before you get to a point where as you can appease the spirit, right? So as usual, I have my notes, but before I go into these different types of Mndau spirit, I want us to actually look at different points, or rather an overall view of what the Mndau spirit is. So even though I said an overall view, I've literally written so many things. Yeah, I think it's gonna make this video very long, but I'll try to summarize as many things as I can, allowing you guys to fully understand what I'm talking about and where I'm coming from, right? So I noted down that the Mndau spirit is a spirit or ancestor that originated from regions such as Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, Uganda, and even sometimes Tanzania, right? So meaning that for us South African people, Mndau spirit is referred to us as a foreign spirit, and hence that is why in most of my videos I call it a foreign spirit, because it doesn't originate from South Africa, but rather you might find that you have Mndau spirit, but you have a bloodline or a lineage that came from other parts of Africa. Hence that is why you were chosen to have this spirit. While for other people it's a completely different story altogether, which we're going to get into now. The Mndau spirit is a water spirit. It is very much connected to the gods of the seas, dams, oceans, and rivers. That is why when you go to appease the Mndau spirit, you need to do water rituals. That is why the Mndau spirit most of the times have a white regalia. Yes, I'm not disputing the cloths, the njetis, the palos, and whatnot, but the primary attire for the Mndau spirit, it is a white regalia. It is a white regalia, which is the one that you go to when you're going to the river to parula your Mndau spirit. And when I'm talking about parula, I'm actually talking about the evoking of this particular spirit name. It is known for its stubborn character, controlling, and it is dangerous enough to even bring death upon a person's life if you do not listen. And this is actually normal for all water spirits. Basically all water spirits are very dangerous, and they have different characteristics. I mean, we've made videos about the mermaid spirit, and I did mention in that video that the mermaid spirit is very stubborn. We talked about the Nzunza, it's very stubborn. We talked about the Abalozi, which are coming from the river. They are also very stubborn. So water spirits are spirits that are very stubborn in character, and hence you'd find that a person who has this spirit is very temperamental. They are very stubborn. They don't want to listen to reason. They are very unique, not in a bad way, but they can be hard to handle, right? So most people with Mndau spirit tend to like take the character of their ancestors, but in addition to taking the character of their ancestors, right? Another thing that you should know is that when you have the spirit and you don't do things the way that they want you to do them, they will bring you severe punishment. This could be punishment you'd find that things are getting blocked in all directions. You're getting accidents. Everything is just falling upside down in your life. And that is because it is a very, very stubborn spirit. And when it says something, or rather, when it requires something from you as a person who has been chosen to bear this gift, to help people with this gift, you need to follow suit on what they're asking if you want your things to go according to how they want it to be, right? I also noted down that this spirit is a domineering spirit, and it tends to block other ancestors. So when you have Mndau spirit, you'd find that your Mndau spirit wants to dominate the other ancestors, and this can even be when this Mndau spirit is not even the leading ancestor. Because in most of my videos, I did mention that we have a leading ancestor, the first ancestor that chooses you, and then there are ancestors that follow afterwards, right? So your leading ancestor can be Mgunu or Istunyo, right? is a prophetic gift. It can be Mnguni or a prophetic gift, but you can also have Mndau Spirit. So what can happen is that your Mndau Spirit, given the fact that it's so domineering, so controlling, so like bossy and stuff like that, you'd find that at the end of the day it wants to dominate the other spirits, whereas it blocks the other ancestors from speaking to you, so it can be so it can come to you, tell you what it wants, and its needs and wants can be met, right? So hence that's why I emphasize the fact that it's a very dangerous and stubborn spirit. But that should not worry you guys at all, as long as you learn to join your ancestor and appease them all accordingly, then you will not really have any issues with your Mndau Spirit. As a matter of fact, once you've done that, then you're not even going to have any drama whatsoever. You're not even going to have any blockages. You know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and they will come to you and tell you what they want without blocking the other ancestors. But it only blocks the other ancestors if it feels as though you are taking too long to appease them, to appease it specifically, right? It does not necessarily need to be of your bloodline to choose you to bear its gift, and can oftentimes compete with other spirits within your bloodline for dominance, right? So with this point, this is a very important thing for you guys to note down, because this actually identifies a certain type of Mndau Spirit. Yes, some Mndau Spirit can be from your bloodline, but others they cannot. Hence, that is why most people refer to it as a foreign spirit, because most of the times people that have Mndau have no bloodline, or rather blood relation to the ancestor, to this Mndau Spirit that chose them, right? And also another thing there is that it is also known for its ability to block a person's life and bring illness when it's not appeased or given the attention that it wants. Mndau works through intuition, dreams, ukufemba, and divine bones, and this divine bone usage is usually when it is working hand in hand with Mnguni spirit name. But one thing for sure, good, most people who have Mndau have a strong sense of intuition. I'm not saying that when you have a different gift you don't have a strong sense of intuition, but when you have Mndau, this intuitive strength or gift, it's a lot stronger, because that is how Mndau works, right? People from Mndau would literally just sit down in silence, and basically their intuition will speak to them. Other times will just fall into a very deep sleep, and visions, information, messages will come, right? And if I can go back to this just to like bring more understanding to it, right? When I was initiating, there was a grandmother there. She's a full gogo. She was a full gogo. She was the gobella of my gobella. So that lady would literally just go to sleep anywhere, right? And when she wakes up, she's like, this particular person is coming and they need help with this, right? So at first we'd be like, sure, yeah, you're telling us the truth, woman. But in a few minutes after that, that thing will actually happen, right? And she had a very strong sense of intuition, whereas she'd know exactly what it is that you will do before you do it. Hence, some of us always got in trouble. Yeah, because we are stubborn like that. I'm kidding. I never got in trouble. I'm just joking. But Mndau usually works with Mnguni and can still work alone. So yes, most people that have Mndau spirit, you'd find that they have Mnguni paired up with it. But it is possible for a person to only have Mndau spirit. But it is a very rare case in this time and age, right? Because right now, given the fact that it is a spiritual awakening generation and period, a lot of people tend to have multiple ancestors governing them, né? And with this multiple ancestors governing them, you'd find that they cannot have one spirit alone. Some do, right? Some do, but a huge majority, especially the people that I've encountered with spiritual gifts, you'd find that they have more than one ancestor with them then. So Mndau spirit often pairs up with Mnguni spirit, and when they pair up, that is where as your Mndau can, like, you basically appease both of them at the same time. Your Mndau can also work with divine bones alongside your Mnguni ancestors and whatnot, right? It is associated with the root chakra. Hence, it is very important for you to ground yourself. That is why the Mndau dance on its own is quite different from the one that you do with Banguni. That is why the Mndau people kneel. That is why you'd find that some people who have Mndau spirit, they dance on their bellies, as though they are snakes, right? And that is not nothing abnormal in any way. That is because of the spirit that they have that is governing them. It is a spirit that is connected to your root chakra. Your root chakra is actually on your lower abdomen, right? Your lower belly and whatnot. And also at the same time, whereas it is a root chakra type of ancestor, this is whereas people with the Mndau spirit can actually suffer from womb pains, infertility, and all those types of illnesses because the spirit resides on your lower body. And that is is why sometimes you find that people tend to mistaken Dwe Spirit with Isdliso because it is situated there. Ne? And just so I don't confuse you guys, Dwe Spirit is on your lower abdomen. That is where you feel it the most. Your prophetic ancestor Imole Fatleng, right? Your divine born ancestor, I'll say that it's your feet, because most of the times people with Nguni, you find that they have issues with their feet, they swell up, sometimes they are painful, and also migraines. But migraines also do come and go hand in hand with also your prophetic ancestors, right? So basically every single spiritual gift that you have affects a certain type of your body, a certain part of your body. And the reason why it affects a certain part of your body is because that is exactly where it is situated. Okay, so generally there are so many things that we can say about the Dwe Spirit, but most of those things are things that we've all heard of. Like, I feel like it's not anything new to hear all of these things about Dwe Spirit. But the one thing that I want to emphasize the most in this video is that we need to understand the different types of Dwe Spirit, right? Which is the purpose of this video. So there are 4 different types of Dwe Spirit that a person can have, that you can be governed by, right? So these 4 different types is, first of all, Mndau wabo Sangoma, right? So Dwe Spirit of Sangomaism, if I put it in English, I hope that makes sense. In Zulu they call it Mndau wabungoma, right? Secondly, we have Mndau wabungaka. Remember, there's a difference between a Sangoma and Lengaka. I will make a video on actually trying to like explain that properly, because it's very confusing. It's a very confusing thing. But there's Mndau wabungaka, ne? So this Mndau wabungaka is also known as Gedla, Ugedla, Kedla, Yamandawe. So basically when I translate it in English, I'd say that it's a Dwe Spirit of Dingakas. You get what I mean? Number 3, we have Mndau wasepoku. So this is Sotho translation. In Zulu they call it Mndau womfokwa. Understand that I'm not really a Zulu person. I don't understand Zulu as much, so I'm actually just trying to be multilingual, just so you guys can fully understand, regardless of where it is that you're listening to me from, right? So womfokwa or a sipoku, it's a ghost name. So this is a spirit of Mndau, which is actually a ghost spirit. I will get into details about that. I know it's a bit confusing, right? And then lastly we have Mndau wamdliwa. Okay, so Mdliwa is a spirit that I spoke about on its own generally, and I feel like most of you guys that have watched my video may have a clear on Mdliwa Spirit, and those of you guys who haven't watched that video, you can check it out, right? But going into details about the types of Mndau, the first one being Mndau wabungoma, Mndau wabu Sangoma, right? This is an Mndau spirit that works with the Sangoma gift in your bloodline. So that means that this Mndau spirit is from your bloodline. So when you have this Mndau spirit, know that you have ancestors that come from maybe Mozambique, maybe Zimbabwe, maybe Mozambique, maybe what is the other place in kids? Lesotho as well has Mndau spirits as well. It's also one of the regions or regional regions of Mndau spirits. So basically, this just means that from your bloodline, there is someone who came from different regions of Africa, and they gave you this gift. So it's not a foreign spirit to you. It is a foreign spirit to other people, but for you, it is a spirit of your bloodline. The spirit or ancestor additionally used water in their healing. So Mndau spirit, right? With Mndau spirit, yes, you can use herbs and whatnot, but also you can also use herbs that come specifically from the river. And you can also use certain rivers to, like water, basically, to heal people. Hence, that is why most rituals that come from Dwe Spirit are done in the river. That is why when you evoke the Dwe Spirit, you do it in the river, which is kind of similar to when you evoke the prophetic spirits, certain prophetic spirits, right? Thirdly, there's an Mndau spirit that performs rituals such as ukufemba. So not everyone who has Mndau can femba, right? For example, I have Mndau spirit, but I cannot femba. I don't want to lie to anybody. I've been telling you, I cannot femba, right? But there are people that can femba, name. And most of the times you'd find that the people, not all the time, but most of the times, you'd find that the people that actually know how to femba, or their Mndau spirit fembers, are people who have Mndau spirit that is coming straight from their bloodline, or the spirit that is governing them was a Mndau spirit that actually fembered in its time, right? Number 4, they can only be evoked through Wutwasa and Ruparula, meaning that when you have this Mndau spirit, you need to enter initiation, right? And through initiation, given the fact that it works hand in hand with your Mnguni spirit or your Sangoma spirit, that is whereas you're going to go through the normal rituals of initiating, which we spoke about in our previous videos. And then at the end of your initiation, you are going to be taken to the river to do a ritual called Ruparula. So Ruparula is a ritual that can be done for both Mndau and also for a prophetic, for Istunya prophetic gifts, right? So it can only be evoked by these two things, meaning that if you don't go through these processes, then you will not be able to evoke your Mndau spirit at the end of the day. Then they can also be accompanied by Istunya, which is a prophetic gift. So you might find that you have this type of Mndau, but you don't have Mnguni spirit, which is the Sangoma spirit. It's completely fine. It is understandable. So this Mndau spirit can pair itself with Istunya. So most of the times, now one thing that I want to emphasize is that most of the times this type of spirit, it is paired up with another spirit. It can be one or two spirit. You might find that you have this Mndau, Istunya, and also Bungoma spirit in you, but other times you'd find that you might have it alone, which is very rare, because this one completely, it goes hand in hand with your Istunya spirit, and not Istunya, Bungoma spirit in most cases, right? And also bear in mind that most of the times when you find that it is paired up with your Istunya spirit, you might find that the person who has given you this gift may have been someone who was supposed to go through the normal Sangoma ritual, but they converted their gift from Wungaka or Busangoma into a prophetic gift. Hence, that is why it can also be paired up with a prophetic spirit. And the conversion of your spiritual gift is something that can still be done even today. And I'm going to make a video for you guys to actually know how to do it if you don't want to live the fancy life of a Sangoma like moi. Okay, there's nothing fancy about it. I'm just encouraging y'all, that's all. Another point about Mndau spirit is that about this Mndau spirit, Mndau Bungoma, is that it is a mixture of the earth and the water element. Understand that these different spiritual gifts that we have, they have their own elements. They represent different types of elements. For instance, Bungoma or Mnguni spirit, it is an earth element. And then we have Mnguni spirit, the people dance on fire and whatnot. That can be classified as a fire element type of Mnguni spirit, right? But for this one specifically, this is an earth and water element, because you are working with Bungoma, which is the spirits of the land, the spirit of the mountains, the spirits that use the earth to heal, right? And also you're working with the Mndau spirit, which is a spirit that uses water to heal. Hence, that is why you'd find that people that have this spiritual gift, or rather that have this type of Mndau, will find themselves having dreams of lions, cheetahs, not natural, wild animals, and also at the same time they'll also have dreams of snakes, fishes, water animals, dreaming of water, being in the water, and sometimes dreaming of yourself being in an open field or in the jungle, because you have both these elements inside of you. And hence your spiritual gift is one that actually combines these two elements, meaning that you can heal with both water and the earth that is inside, that is around you. Hence, that is why I mentioned that people with this type of gift, or rather with Mndau Bungoma, are people that can heal using water. They don't necessarily need to depend on herbs, but they can heal using water, and also heal using certain water herbs that certain Sangomas that do not have this gift cannot access or use in any way whatsoever. Okay? The second type of Mndau is Mndau wa Bungaka, which is also Buketla, right? So with Buketla, we've heard a lot about the Ketlas, right? And most of the times, Ketla can also be Ngakachupye. We've made a video about that. Ngakachupye is someone who doesn't go through initiation, right? But enough about that. So when I'm looking at the points about this type of Mndau spirit, the first thing I noted down is that this is a Mndau spirit that does not need to go and initiate. So the same as Ngakachupye, you do not need to initiate. Your ancestors initiate you themselves, right? And for instance, there is this particular Nkulu that I know. Never mind my smile. There is this particular Mkulu that I know who actually has Mndau spirit, and he actually evokes Mndau spirit very well, and he evokes all types of Mndau spirit. But this Mkulu never went into initiation. He's never even went through the doors of initiation, because his Mndau spirit is Dwe Spirit wabo ketla. He's a nyaga chupye who has Dwe Spirit. Hence, initiation, it is not necessary. Hence, that is why I said, all because you have Dwe Spirit, it doesn't mean that you need to go and initiate. And that is a misconception that a lot of people have, because a lot of people assume that, oh, I have Mndau, that means I need to go initiate. I have Mndau, that means I need to go through the procedure of Uparola. But that is actually not the case at all. Secondly, your guides are the ones that will take you through rituals of evoking and elevating your power, meaning that they will tell you what you need to do. And your rituals are not going to be the same as the ones of people that actually go and initiate. Yes, they can say, go to this river, perform this particular ritual, and this will help us come closer to you. This will help evoke us, right? So it's very much similar to that other spirit, Mzunza spirit, because Lebwana, they will come to you and tell you what rituals you need to do to evoke them. It is the same as Abaluzi spirit. They will tell you what rituals you need to do to evoke them. And bear in mind, these are also water spirits, meaning that water spirits can also be very independent on their own, right? Another thing that I pointed out is that most people with this Dwe spirits are guided to use certain types of Dwe gobongos, right, to evoke it. So gobongos, in my language, you call them mabotlo, right? So it's actually a herb that you take the pillow, like swallow the pillow, eat the pillow. Not the pillow, not a real pillow, but like the bubbles. It's just that in my language it's called the pillow, right? So well, you take it and you eat the bubbles to actually help evoke your ancestors' name. So Mndau on its own, there are different types of Mndau, gobongos, and the bottles name. That's one thing you need to know. There's a hairy one. There's one that looks like a tree bark. There's another one that looks a bit like sand. So there are different types, and all these different types of gobongos are actually for specific types of Dwe spirits. That is why you'd find that one gogo can use a certain type of lipoto, while another type of gogo can use a different type of that very same herb, but it is there to actually evoke certain types of spirits. So this particular type of Mndau uses its own gobongos, it uses its own lipoto, it uses its own herbs to actually evoke it, meaning that the same one that I could use when I have, for instance, maybe Mndau wa bongoma, it's not going to be the same one as you use as someone who has Mndau wa buketla. Okay, and also through their dreams, they can come to you and guide you on the path that you need to take, meaning that they will show you what to do for your dreams and also for your intuition. Remember, like, you'll be sitting down and in your head you're like, I need to take this, this, and that and perform this particular type of ritual. Those are your ancestors speaking to you. And the one thing that actually bothers me a lot is that a lot of people sleep on their intuition. I find myself consulting people and being on some, you need to listen to your intuition more. When you feel like you need to do something, and this is not a feeling that just comes once and it's done. It's going to continuously come to you like, you need to do this, you need to do this. The more you delay it is the more you're delaying your spiritual process. The more you're delaying your spiritual awakening period, right? So they will come through your dreams to tell you what to do, and sometimes they will speak to you through intuition, and with your intuition it will be minor instructions. Maybe they're gonna be like, add a certain type of candle to your thingies, find this particular cloth and use it in this manner. Those are your instructions as a spiritual person that you need to follow. And with this type of Mndau, that is how your ancestors are going to speak to you, so you can evoke them the right way, because you do not have a guide, you do not have a kopela, you do not have a mentor. Your guide, your kopela, your mentor is your ancestors yourself, right? Another thing that I point out, which is point number 4, is Mndau of wealth. So yes, we all know that Dwe spirit is also, like, basically water spirits on their own are basically spirits of wealth, in a sense. Like, when you have these spirits, you are given a lot of wealth, and it's not like you're just going to sit down and wealth is going to come to you. You're given business ideas, you're given a lot of clients, you're given, there's so many things that your ancestors guide you into doing that actually manifest the wealth that your ancestors had in their time, right? Hence, that is why you hear a lot of people saying that Dwe spirit is a royal spirit name, and this will be the case for a lot of people, because when you have this Dwe spirit or any Dwe spirit altogether, you are someone who possesses how do I call it, respect, honor. You are on another level, in a sense, right? So basically it is a spirit of wealth, whereas they are going to guide you on to doing things that will actually elevate you in your financial space, in a sense. So a lot of people, by longer, they follow what this type of Dwe spirit tells them to do. They find themselves in a situation whereas they are very abundant in wealth and other aspects of their lives. Now, if you're a career person, you find yourself elevating in your career because this ancestor will give you blessings, they will give you luck. If you're someone or your ancestors are saying, no, we don't want you to work because that is not how we did our things, they will guide you on saying, open this business, do this, do that. That will be something that gives you abundance, the type of abundance that we had when we were alive at that particular time, right? And also, this ancestor is from your bloodline, but it can be traced from a very far lineage, meaning that it is an ancestor that is coming from your family. It is not an ancestor that is foreign to you, but it comes from a very, very far away lineage. Where longer you'd find that this ancestor took ages, generations, years, decades to actually choose the next descendant or the next person to actually bear this gift. And bear in mind, water spirits are very strict. I've mentioned this a lot. So when they choose a person, they look at your heart, right? So when your heart changes, then they will move away from you. So bear in mind, if you do have any type of water spirit, try to do things the right way. Thank you very much. Okay. Number 3, we're gonna look at Mndau wa Mfokwa. So Mfokwa, I did mention what it is, Seboko, which is a ghost, right? So this is a bit of a complicated type of Mndau spirit, and this is whereas people can have Mndau spirit confused, because with the first two, I'd say that they're very straight to the point, but this one is a bit complicated, right? But not as complicated as the last one. So this is a Mndau spirit that works for your ancestors. It doesn't work with your ancestors. It doesn't control your ancestors. It doesn't dominate your ancestors, but it works for your ancestors. And the reason why this is the case, it is because this is a spirit of a person who was a healer, but was not from your bloodline. And whereas they were a healer, they may have had a relationship within your bloodline's clan, right? Or it's people, the people from your bloodline. And this is someone who in most cases may have married into your clan and was accepted by your ancestors. And even when they passed on, they were accepted spiritually by your ancestors or the ancestors on your bloodline to say, you are one of us. We accept you as our child, right? So usually when they marry into this clan, you'd find that this person takes the clan name, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it was a woman, because I know someone out there is like, oh, so it's a female Mndau. No, there are instances where as a person could be a voyager, maybe someone who left their home coming from a foreign land and then started a new life, uprooted here, and then married into your bloodline and decided, you know what, I want to settle in this place, I want to build my life here, and then they take the clan name of the place of the home in which they married. And other times you find that that person was running away from certain things within their family. We do know stories of people that run away from their homes and whatnot because of certain fights that were happening within the family, and they have to let go of their name. They have to change their names, their surnames and whatnot. And at the same time, while doing that, they're basically letting go of their spiritual paths or spiritual lineage or bloodline, whereas they detach themselves from even their ancestors. It's a very sad story, but it does happen, and it happened a lot within our history. Most people, especially people from royal bloodlines and whatnot that have Mndau spirit, you'd find that they have Mndau spirit, but they don't use the surname of this Mndau spirit because of the fact that that ancestor had to change their name, right? Okay, so I'm like, they're really diverting. So this is not from your bloodline, but there are people that were accepted into your bloodline by your ancestors' name. And when they were accepted into your bloodline, they converted, or rather changed certain things in order to appease the ancestors within your family the right way. And hence that is why they were accepted by your ancestors once they've passed on, to say, you are now one of us, you are part of our family. It doesn't need to be blood. Like the word goes like, the blood of the womb is not stronger than the water of the covenant, basically, right? So that's one of my favorite quotes. You can check it out, right? So that is actually the type of case that we have with this type of spirit, right? So he's not related to you by blood, but by relation in most cases, only time where you are blood related is if these ancestors bear children with a clan member and you may be a descendant. So there's a 50% chance that this person can be from your bloodline, but it's very unlikely, because most of the times Mndau can just choose any random person within the family and say that you are the one who's going to bear gifts. And this is because they see you, they know you. Maybe another ancestor even chose you to say that you're going to carry on the legacy of your ancestor. And this Mndau said, okay, since you're the chosen one, I'm also going to give you some of the gifts that I have to you as well, so you can carry on my lineage as well, right? And I lastly noted that you'll be a very emotional person when you're governed by this Mndau. So there are those people that are always crying, guys, that are always crying whenever anything bad is heard, whenever they're watching a movie and it's sad, and they have Mndau, and we all know Mndau to be this very hardcore spirit, but when they're always crying, that is them. No offense, I'm not joking. I'm not like making fun of you guys. I'm just actually trying to emphasize that it's a very emotional Mndau, because it comes through as a more like caring, not in a feminine way, but a very caring type of Mndau, as opposed to the others, whereas those ones are like, if you don't do what we say, we finna, yeah, type of thing. Name. And then the last type of Mndau is Mndau wa Mdlewa. Right? So Mdlewa spirit is a very complicated spirit. It's the spirit of vengeance. It is a spirit that wants you to pay for the sins of your forefathers. So it also does fall under a ghost spirit, but it is a bit more complicated. So what I noted down is that this is a spirit of a person who was killed and came back as a spirit to the family of the person who killed him or her. Right? And whereas they usually come with the motive of revenge, whereas they want to bring suffering. This is whereas you'd find that you hear that you come from Dwe Spirit, like you have Dwe Spirit, but your entire lineage, your entire family was a family that encountered poverty, that encountered losses in certain type of ways, certain manners in which the children in your family die, the adults in your family die. Like there's just this generational curse that just keeps going on and on and on, right? And most of the times you find that this is a generational curse that comes from a spirit of the Mndau that was killed by someone within your family, within your bloodline, right? It can be seen as a spiritual husband or wife, meaning that in your dreams you'll just find yourself having intimacy, and most of the times people will confuse this Mndau for what we call dokoloshi, basically, because dokoloshi's are spiritual husbands and wives, right? It will turn your entire life upside down. It is appeased through Wofemba, where he or she states what it needs from you so it can actually find peace, meaning that the main purpose, or rather the first thing that needs to be done when coming to this Dwe spirit, is to actually help it find peace, so this spirit can actually go into the light, meaning that this is a spirit that is in darkness, right? So usually how to do this is Wofemba. So generally with all types of Dwe spirit, the best way in which to actually help this spirit rest is to go through the procedure of Wofemba. Whereas the spirit will come forth and speak to you and tell you what it needs to be done, what needs to be done for it to actually find peace, right? And once you actually go through that procedure that is needed, this ancestor will go into the light, and once it goes into the light, it will continue to work through you in terms of continuing its life purpose, meaning that this particular person may have been someone who was supposed to be helping people, healing people, but because of their untimely death, they were not able to live up to what they were supposed to do. Hence, that's why it comes to you in the form of an Mndau spirit, right? It is mostly a foreign spirit, meaning that it has no blood relation to you. It has no connection to your bloodline besides that of the fact that it died in the hands of someone from your bloodline, right? And once it is cleansed, the person, he or she governs, will then continue the life purpose. Okay, I mentioned that name. And lastly, the other point is that it is the most cruel Mndau and the most dangerous if not appeased in the right way. This is the type of Mndau that will, it will give you hell. Like, I've really encountered a few people with this type of Mndau, and one thing I can say is that I am terrified of it. Like, I'm not scared of a lot of things, but I am terrified of this type of Mndau, because if it says that I want this and you do not do it, trust me, nothing in your life will ever go right again. Relationships will end, your career will end, you'll encounter a lot of accidents. And the worst part, God, is not the type of Mndau that can actually even kill you. It just wants to torment you and your bloodline and your family, because this is a spirit of vengeance. This is a spirit that is not at peace and wants to make sure that the people in the bloodlines of those that like affected his life basically suffer, right? So different signs that you'll have when you have Dwe Spirit. I just wrote a few because a lot of other signs I have spoken about them, but the major signs that you're gonna dream of snakes, white people, Indian people, being next to the river also is one of the dreams that you'll have, right? You'll constantly have migraines. So this is very similar to Istunya. You'll have a lot of migraines on a regular basis. You're gonna be forgetful. Like, you're gonna forget everything everywhere. You'll be holding your phone and out here looking for it. You'll be holding your bag and you're still out there looking for it. You never know where you put anything all the time, right? Your relationships are gonna be bad. Like, Dwe Spirit's a very jealous spirit, and basically all ancestors are. If they feel like you give more attention into your relationship, trust me, they will end it. But with Dwe Spirit, it's gonna be hard for you to find the love of your life. And I know that we all want love, but sometimes it's not for you. For me it is, but for you it isn't. Okay, I'm joking. I struggle too in that department, and most of the time you'll find yourself feeling very cold. So most people with water spirits or Dwe spirits, I refer to them as cold-blooded people, right? Not in a bad way, not like they are cold-blooded, but like they're always cold to the touch, you know. Like, there are certain people I long water, they have spiritual gifts and they're always feeling hot, like they're really burning up. Even on cold days, you'd find that person walking around, no jersey whatsoever, they are heating up. But from Dwe, even on the sunniest days ever, these people are freezing. Okay, so anyways, I don't want to make this video any longer, but like I said, there are other different signs that I did speak about in previous videos that actually relate to them Dwe Spirit. If you do want to know more about that, go check out the video on different types of spiritual gifts. It's one of my first videos from a couple of years, I think it was 3 years back when I started my channel. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys learned a lot from this, and I hope it helps you identify different types of Mndau and helps you in terms of your spiritual journey. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. Have a beautiful one. Takozani. Bye bye.